Welcome to Beau Eminent channel. The lost history of the potato is a fascinating topic that explores how a humble tuber native to South America reshaped global societies, economies, and cuisines, but whose true origins and impacts are often overlooked or forgotten. Here's a compelling overview. Thanks for watching. Request you to subscribe the channel. Potato origins in the Andes. The potato was first domesticated over 7,000 years ago in the Andean highlands of present-day Peru and Bolivia by indigenous peoples such as the Quechua and Aymara. They developed thousands of varieties, innovated with freeze-drying techniques like chuño, and incorporated potatoes into both their diets and spiritual traditions. Shipped from sacred crop to colonial commodity. When Spanish conquistadors arrived in the 16th century, they encountered this crop and brought it back to Europe. But it wasn't an immediate success. Early Europeans distrusted the potato because it wasn't mentioned in the Bible, and it resembled toxic nightshade plants. It was initially used to feed livestock and prisoners before becoming a staple food. Over time, the potato gained ground in Ireland, Russia, and Germany, thanks to its ability to grow in poor soils and cold climates, making it a lifesaver during times of famine. The potato powers empires. By the 18th and 19th centuries, the potato was seen as a tool of population growth and military strength. Historians argue, it fed the working classes during the Industrial Revolution. Countries like France and Prussia promoted its cultivation to increase national productivity and food security. Colonialism, famine, and displacement. One of the darkest chapters in the potato's history is the Irish potato famine, 1845 to 1852. A fungal blight destroyed potato crops, but the famine was worsened by British colonial policies that prioritized food exports over relief. Over 1 million Irish died, and another 1 million emigrated, forever reshaping the Irish diaspora. Meanwhile, indigenous knowledge of potato farming was often erased or exploited by colonizers. Seedling, a crop with a complex legacy. The potato has become a global staple food, feeding over 1 billion people daily. Been used as a genetic resource for modern agriculture. Played a role in shaping biodiversity loss, climate resilience, and even politics, e.g., food security debates. Yet, much of its indigenous origin story is forgotten in mainstream histories. Books rediscovering the lost history. Modern researchers and indigenous activists are working to revive native potato varieties, protect traditional farming techniques, and reclaim the narrative. The potato is not just a side dish, it's a symbol of resilience, colonization, cultural exchange, and survival. Long before it became a staple in kitchens around the world, the potato thrived in the misty heights of the Andes Mountains. For thousands of years, indigenous communities such as the Quechua and Aymara carefully cultivated this humble tuber, developing over 4,000 distinct varieties. The potato was more than food, it was life. It sustained entire civilizations and played a vital role in their spiritual and agricultural traditions. The Andean peoples even devised ingenious ways to preserve potatoes for harsh winters, including a freeze-drying method called chuño, still used today. When Spanish conquistadors arrived in South America in the 16th century, they were quick to take silver and gold, but they also brought back something less shiny, yet ultimately far more world-changing: the potato. At first, Europeans were suspicious. The plant looked too much like its poisonous cousin, the nightshade, and many feared it caused disease or leprosy. For decades, the potato was relegated to animal feed or prison fare. Yet it quietly proved itself to be a miraculous crop. It grew well in poor soils, resisted cold weather, and could feed more people per acre than any other staple. By the 18th century, the potato had become a crucial part of European diets, especially among the poor. In Ireland, where landowners forced tenant farmers onto small plots, the potato became almost the only food that could keep large families alive. But this dependency would turn deadly. In the 1840s, a fungal blight devastated potato crops across Europe, hitting Ireland the hardest. The Great Irish Famine that followed killed over 1 million people and forced another million to flee the country. It was not just a natural disaster, it was a political and human tragedy. British colonial policies and forced exports of grain worsened the suffering, while the potato, once a symbol of survival, became a symbol of loss and exile. Even as famine scarred Ireland, the potato was flourishing elsewhere. In Prussia, France, and Russia, governments encouraged its growth to strengthen armies and feed booming populations. The crop's impact on the Industrial Revolution was profound, cheap and filling. It helped nourish the factory workers who powered the engines of empire. It's no exaggeration to say that the potato helped build modern Europe, though the credit rarely goes to the indigenous peoples who first nurtured it. Yet the potato's original story, the one rooted in the soil of the Andes, was largely forgotten. Colonization not only took the plant but erased the knowledge that came with it. Today, many native varieties have disappeared, replaced by monocultures vulnerable to disease. As global agriculture becomes increasingly industrialized, the wisdom of the past may hold the key to future resilience. Now, in an unexpected twist, scientists and indigenous farmers are working together to reclaim this lost history. In Peru, the potato park near Cusco preserves hundreds of traditional varieties. Researchers look to ancient methods to breed climate-resilient crops, while activists push to protect the cultural heritage embedded in every potato's skin. The story of the potato is one of survival and sorrow, of ingenuity and exploitation. It traveled across oceans, sustained empires, and shaped history, yet its deepest roots were buried for centuries. By rediscovering its true origin, we do more than honor a food. We reconnect with a legacy of resilience, knowledge, and cultural survival that the modern world desperately needs. The potato's journey is a story of resilience, adaptation, and forgotten genius. From sacred mountain staple to global food security keystone, it has quietly fed empires and shaped destinies. Yet its full story, rooted in indigenous innovation and colonial upheaval, has long remained in the shadows. To remember the true history of the potato is to recognize not only its value as food, but the cultural and human legacy it carries in every skin, every eye, every bite.